Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Betting Show Week 15, brought to you by freebets.com. The very best free bet offers brought to you daily by the Free Bets team. Adam, you are one of the Free Bets team. What's going on over there? What articles we got out?
I had a article to do with why you should be on the side of the Carolina Panthers for the NFC South, which I feel justified in after last night. So that's one good thing. I've got what else have I got? We've got the Sunday Acca one coming out. That'll be out on Sunday morning for everyone. I've done an Arsenal versus Wolves bets. If anyone wants to see any of my football stuff, I mean, that's there as well. And there's loads of stuff over there. We've got another what's the name one coming up, haven't we? And we got another Ashes test match coming up soon.
Yeah.
So you can see which Australian batsman to pick to absolutely destroy England, which seems to be the way it's going at the moment. Yeah, there's loads of stuff. So get over there, have a look, and get yourself some free bets at different betting sites that you've never heard of.
Yeah, got some great offers over there through December. Literally giving money away. Adam, as always, we've had a fixture already. It was the Atlanta Falcons at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last night. Tampa Bay Buccaneers losing 28-29 to the Falcons. Very close game. Went down to that last field goal. Raheem Morris going for 2 points. Salah, it was I felt like it was a really good watch. Cousins was outplaying Baker for majority of the game, and Kyle Pitts in his contract year has finally turned up for a season and put himself in for 3 touchdowns. So filling in well for an injured Drake London.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's the same old story every time. They end up in a contract year and all of a sudden they can play football. It's unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, like you say, he's looked really good. He's actually looked decent for most of the season, in fairness to him.
I think he's had a good year.
Yeah, I think he's done all right considering how poor his previous years were. And yeah, he looks all right. The Falcons, I mean, I have to say, I think that is the sort of performance where we were talking on the chat show not that long ago, where we were very much like, don't know if Raheem Morris is going to stick around in Atlanta. Don't know if that they might decide to make a change. I think that kind of performance shows very much that the team is very much behind him and fighting for him. And that's something that you don't necessarily see. I know it's a divisional matchup, so there's a little bit of extra sort of like incentive because of that. But I think to do that, to be in a position as well where you were 28-14 down and come back and win, I think that's a huge thing. And so yeah, I think that he'll probably stick around. As for the Bucks, the defense has just disappeared, and as you were saying before we came on here, Baker is struggling, and it's he's got all his weapons back now, but if anything, it seems to be not helping. So it's a difficult one for him.
Yeah, considering we had him locked in as early MVP favourite through the start of the year. Another award on the other side of the ball. James Pearce Jr. I'm going to say it, Adam. I know my edge rushers when it comes to the draft. The draft show every year, there's always edge rushers. I'm like, he's my favourite. And then all the experts and the analysts are going, nah, it's this guy. He's got all the traits, all of like the size and everything. He's the one you want, hybrid guy with all the pace. And I'm like, I've been watching this guy and he seems to be sacking the quarterback the most. It was Jared Verse last year, and then this year it was James Pearce for me, apart from Parsons. And he has now had sacks in the last 6 games straight. Recorded 2 again last night. So do you think there's any chance he could be sneaking up people's boards for defensive rookie of the year?
I thought you were going to say, do you think there's any chance you're going to get a scouting job? Look, I think yeah, I think he's got a chance, isn't he? I'm trying to think of who would be
Carson
Who's the
Schlesinger has
favourite?
been the lead favourite for a long time. I actually cashed out on that bet that I had on it because I was like, well, they're offering me 50 quid to cash out on a £5 bet. I was like, I'll cash out at that early in the season. But I don't remember a time where a rookie edge rusher recorded a sack in the last 7 games in a row. And he's already up to, what's he up to now? He's up to 8 sacks on the season. That's pretty impressive for a rookie.
So he's currently 18-1.
Yeah.
And he's the 3rd favourite for it. And Carson Schlesinger's like 5-1 on. He's like very, very short. Eman Warri's played well, so I can understand why he's there. But I think that Pearson, the numbers are a little bit higher than Eman Warri. I don't feel like he's been amazing.
Well, we've always said it's a stats game, haven't we?
Yeah.
Some of these awards. And Eman Warri's passed the eye test and he's looked really, really good. And the same with Carson Schlesinger. He passes the eye test and has looked great in games, making the tackles. He's the guy that's cropping up on the board. But they've got Myles Garrett now that's overshadowing him. And James Pearson is the guy that's shining at the minute in terms of the rookies, in terms of being in that focal point of getting these sacks consecutively. So
how much have you had on him?
Well, I had him before the season started, so I might have to have another dabble on him.
What price was he before the season started?
I'm just going to have a quick check. I think he was less than 18-1. I think it was 14-1. So I'm putting some more on that. Yeah, he was my punt on the prop show for.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not against it at all. 18-1's a really good price for him, and like you say, he's doing well. And sorry,
14-1. I had him before the season started.
And I do feel that, like I said, I feel like they're playing for their head coach. I think that what you saw last night is a Falcons team that they know that they're done, but they seem up for it. So. Yeah, it's entirely possible he could get a few more in the next 3 weeks and boost them numbers. So yeah.
Well, let's move on to week 15 games then. No graphics again, Adam. We're still on Bet365, still running that. It's a busy time of year for me.
That's what you keep telling me.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So first up, I have gone with my own team off the bye week. At -2.5, I have taken the New York Giants at home against the Washington Commanders. After us saying the Commanders were going to win last week, that went horribly wrong for us. We said it didn't matter who was at quarterback, they'd still probably get the win. That was not our finest moment of the season. And after watching it as what I did see of it and seeing them over the last few weeks, that's one of the worst defenses I've seen in the league this year. It just doesn't be able to stop anything. And with the more injuries to the offense now in Zach Ertz and Daniels both injured again, I can't see this Commanders team doing anything. And a Giants team that's full of youngsters that want to go out there and win games. I don't think there's. I know they've got currently sitting the number 1 pick spot, but I don't think that means everything to them as it might mean to some of the people behind them. So I think these youngsters are going to go out, want to win games. The defense has got a point to prove. The head coach has got a point to prove. So at -2.5, I'm taking the New York Giants all day long.
Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement here. It's a weird one going. Well, firstly, it's weird the fact that the number 1 pick at the moment in the NFL draft are 2.5-point favourites against anybody. So it does feel strange that this has happened.
They're the number 1 pick out of poor game management and blowing leads. So I don't think it's silly. The offense has been good and the defense has been good in parts of games. It's been five games they've lost where they've been up by 10 points.
Yeah, statistically, the defense is not great. They don't match up particularly great in the league. So they give up a lot of rushing yards. And the passing yards isn't great either. It's kind of like back third of the lot. But this Commanders defense is just as poor, if not worse, to be honest. So it's one of them things where it feels like there's very much an opportunity here for both offenses to score plenty of points. As you say, Jane Daniels not going to be there. Zach Ertz not going to be there. So you're dealing with Mariota and Terry McLaurin's meant to be out there, and so is Devo. So you've got a couple of weapons there, but nothing fantastic. Personally, I would want to rely more on I think Jackson Dart has shown me more in this one season that he's been involved in than what Mariota has this season. Although Mariota has had some good games, I think I'd rather be on the side of Dart. And I just think that you're probably right that they've got more chance of winning this, and the fact that it's within a field goal makes me feel like I want to go on their side. It's a weird game to kind of want to have anything on, to be honest, because it's two teams that have got nothing to play for. I actually think that the Giants would. It's really difficult. Like, professional players, they're not going to care about the NFL draft and the picks of where you're going to be. They're more interested in winning games now because it makes them look good, and they might get another contract somewhere else. So that's what it's all about for them. But I actually think that, although you say it's not that important for the Giants to be number one, and it's not really in the grand scheme of things, it isn't. I think if they were number one, it would be amazing for them, because I really think they could get an absolute haul for that pick, and that could really set up this team to do something special in the future.
Yeah, when you're looking at who the top picks are going to be, whether it be a quarterback and even a little bit further down an edge rusher, they're not going to be in the market for either. So there's going to be people that want to move up for both of those positions. So they could be in for a haul if they do stay at that spot. So I think they'll win this. So hopefully the Raiders and Titans and Jets all have victories somehow. On to the next game, Adam. I've taken the LA Chargers. I think they're a little bit later, aren't they? Are they? When are you playing? There they are. I've got them at plus 5.5. Yes, I've gone on the plus side on a bet again for the second week running. Against the Kansas City Chiefs, I just feel like, although lots of people are out on the Chargers last week when I wasn't, because they said that Herbert, with his injury, it might slow him down. But Chargers offense still looks great. They've got Hampton back. He's got a game under his belt, so I think he's going to be a lot better this week as well. And their defense is really, really good. The Chiefs, on the other hand, I know they're playing for their lives. They don't look great on offense throughout majority of games, and the defense is schemed well, but isn't really getting the performances that I think it should be getting. I just think there's more to play in this Chargers team than the Chiefs at the moment. So I'm taking the plus 5.5. I think they can win it outright, but either way, if it's a close game and it's a field goal in it, which it could come down to a field goal this game, I want to be on the side of the plus 5.5 on the Chargers.
Yeah, I think last week was serious alarm bells for the Chiefs. I really do, because we came out and said that we felt that how well the Texans had done the week before that against the Colts, managed to stop Jonathan Taylor, and they're really good against the run. But to a certain extent, that doesn't really matter against the Chiefs because they don't really have much of a run game. So it was like that wasn't much of a problem. They still only got 10 points against them. This is the problem. I know that the Texans' defense is good all round, and that's the reason that's happened. But the Chargers' defense is pretty good all round as well. So you're kind of dealing with that side of things, and that's going to be a problem, I think, for them. I just don't see the Chiefs getting many points in any games now.
They've got no run game. They have no run game.
Well, they've got no run game. Their receivers are dropping the ball, which isn't helping. I feel like Mahomes trusts Rashee Rice, and I don't really feel like he trusts anyone else, to be honest. I mean, he trusts Kelsey, but like it not to do anything, no massive play from Kelsey. So he just kind of feels a little bit like there's not a lot of trust in that respect. Mahomes is rushing more than what he's ever rushed, and that in reality isn't really helping either. And so it just feels like there's not much there. The defense, I still think, is doing reasonably okay on the Chiefs. I think the defense is doing all right, but they're kind of getting worn out, I suppose, is what the issue is, because they're being used so much and the offense just isn't doing a lot. So, yeah, I mean, I agree. I think this could be a very tight game. I mean, the over-under set at 41.5. Yeah, it wouldn't shock me if that was around, if that went under and it was like a 17-14 game or something like that. In which case you do want to be on the side of the plus 5.5, because it just feels like it's going to be a tight playoff style game. I'm a little surprised that it's as high as it is, that they're giving that many points to the Chargers. It does feel like they maybe say like I don't know, like a 3 or a 3.5 would have made more sense in my eyes. But yeah, I mean, I think you take what you can get, and I think the Chargers have got a good chance of winning this game, let alone having the +5 on top of it.
Yeah, definitely. I've had them in my money line bet that I do with my mate. I've had them to win it outright. Which is why I said if it is a close game, which I think it might be a close game, I want to be on the side of the plus points. Yeah. The next game I've gone for, Adam, is the New England Patriots at home against the Buffalo Bills. We've seen these two already match up once already in Buffalo in week 5, in which the Patriots won by 3 points. So to get a plus on them, I think at home, I think another odd decision that the bookmakers have put out. I know the Bills are playing for that wild card spot. The Patriots will want to cement and win that division and push for the 1 seed. The Bills' defense looks better last week, but unless Josh Allen throws 3 or more touchdowns and is Superman every week, they don't win games. I don't think they've won a game where he's thrown less than 3 touchdowns or scored less than 4 or something like that in total. The Patriots defense is good. The Bills' weaknesses are the run game, and their defense in the secondary has not been fantastic. And I feel like that's a Patriots strength. I feel like they're good at that. So all the strengths of the Patriots, I feel like this is a bad matchup for the Bills this week. I just can't see this being the one for them to get the victory. So the +1 on the Patriots, I think they win at money line. What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think the reason that you've got this +1 for the Patriots is the accusation that I've already thrown out at them during this show is that they haven't played anyone apart from the Bills. It does feel like they've had an unbelievably easy schedule compared to everyone else. So the fact that you're going up against a team that are probably considered their hardest opponent, I think that's probably why you've got the +1 on their side. I think there's a little bit of that involved in it. The fact that you've got Josh Allen, I think, is always going to get people backing Josh Allen rather than going against him. And other things kind of get forgotten about because of that. I've got absolutely no problem with the +1 on the Patriots side. I think I kind of agree that it's a coin flip game. I think that's probably what we're dealing with here. I don't really have a particular opinion as to who I think is going to win it, because I think that it could literally go either way. That's the whole point of the coin flip games. I think it's not something that I would be backing as in like who I think is going to win, but I can understand your reasoning behind the +1 for the Patriots. The Bills defense did look a little better last week, but you can run on them pretty easily, and that is a big problem because the Patriots are good at that. The Patriots defense, yes, they've been good this season. Again, I will question who have they played though, and I think that's going to be leveled at them all the way through this until they play someone really, really good. And the Bills are the only team that they've played that's decent.
Well, they played a Tampa offense.
They played a Tampa Bay team that was banged up.
Yeah.
The defense was already starting to get banged up, and at the time, Mike Evans wasn't out there, and I don't think Chris Godwin was out there either. And Bucky Irving definitely wasn't out there. And you just sort of think, it was the perfect time to play them. So it's like, it's just one of them things where it's like the fluke of the schedule has come out very, very well for them. And they've taken advantage of that. Not only that, they know that, I mean, they're level, aren't they, with the Broncos for the number 1 seed?
Yeah.
I think anybody in that situation where they're at that point, they've got to be going full pout to try and get that number 1 seed and try and get through it. And they know that this week is an opportunity. They are at home against a division rival that they beat earlier in the season. And they know that the Broncos have got to play the Packers, which is going to be a tough game for them. So it's like they know that going into that game, and they get to play first. So you do sort of think to yourself, they're going to be going all out for this. As you say, they've got a decent run game going up against a run defense that is not great. So yeah, I the +1, I wouldn't take it out. I think it's a good bet, but this genuinely could go either way, this game.
There is always the potential that Josh Allen turns into Superman. That can happen in any game. So if that happens, then it might be trickier for the Patriots to win. But to gamble on that every single week, which is what we're having to do at the moment, it can't be sustainable every single time. So, which we've seen, which is why they've had losses. You've just mentioned a team that. And it's my next bet. I have actually taken your Green Bay Packers, so you'll want to take this straight out of the bet already.
Damn right.
I've taken your Green Bay Packers at -2 at the Denver Broncos. I just feel like, where are you, Denver Broncos? There you are. Still -2. I just feel like the Packers, for me, from what I'm seeing from them, they let Love open up a little bit more and gun the ball. I feel like he's finally, for the first time this year, yes, I know they're missing Tucker Kraft, but it finally feels like he's got a full selection of wide receivers that are your number 1 set of wide receivers in Watson and Dobbs and Reed. And then you've got like the secondary cast that come in occasionally and do well. So I feel like he's playing with his proper offense for the first time, and it looked fantastic. We've never had any issues with the defense. The defense is great. I feel like when the Broncos come up against a tough defense, Bo Nix is not the Bo Nix that we see every single week. He is inconsistent on that offense. He does have really good fourth quarters. So that might come down to that this week. But I just feel like Packers look like a team that can win the Super Bowl when they're on form. And the Broncos, to me, have had some inconsistencies, and they've managed to get over the line a lot this year. So I'm on the side of the Packers because I feel like they're going to have some momentum going into the winter now, and come out of it on the right side. So I'm taking your Green Bay Packers at -2.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing to make me take the Green Bay Packers at -2. I think this is going to be a very close game. It's going to be a very defensive game. Two really good defenses going up against two offenses that are kind of, like you say, the Broncos offense has kind of been a bit stuttery and not really done a lot of the time. It's like if it can win games with only scoring 13 points and stuff like that. It's not the greatest, but the one thing I would say is that Bo Nix has shown that he has that ability to, when it really matters, stand up and be counted. The Packers, again, in a kind of a similar thing where it does kind of feel like the offense has never really got going properly. It's never really sort of like hit the heights of what we've seen under Jordan Love before. And it just kind of feels a little bit like this is kind of another game where it could go either way. And it just, I think what concerns me the most for the Packers is that they are going away at Mile High, and I just think that's going to be a problem for any team, and dealing with that. So I think that's an issue. And as great as they have been on the defense, I think against the Bears it was a little noticeable that they are going to miss Devontae Wyatt. Like the fact that he's been a really good run blocker for them this season, and the fact that he's not there, the next man up just isn't doing what Devontae Wyatt did. And so that's a bit of a concern against the Broncos team who do like to rush the ball. And, you know, you've got a quarterback who is able to rush the ball as well. And so I think that's an area of worry for the Packers. I agree with you regarding that having the full complement of receivers. I think that makes a big difference. And I actually feel like, in a weird kind of way, Tucker Kraft not being there has kind of pushed them slightly more towards the more explosive Packers offense that we've seen in the last few years. Because, you know, Jordan Love is hitting Christian Watson a lot more in big throws. And you know, we saw Bo Melton come up with one last week as well. And so...
Podcast favourite.
Yeah. So I think that there's like... I think there is a few reasons to be optimistic in that respect, but I just feel like this is going to be a very close game, very tight, could go either way, and I wouldn't really want to be on either of them. I feel I would be more confident of being on the Patriots against the Bills than I would on either of these two teams against the other one.
Yeah. How impressed have you been with the impact that Christian Watson's made over the last sort of 4 weeks in terms of being that deep threat? The big guy just looks like you can just gun it down to him and he'll pluck anything out of the air. He's had 5 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks. It's been impressive. Yeah,
it's surprising to a certain extent. I mean, I think that in a way we've kind of always known that player is in there and that could happen. But I suppose he just never stays fit long enough. Like he just always gets injured, and that's the problem. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely showing how capable he can be, conveniently in a contract year. I thought you'd already re-signed him. I thought you'd already given him the deal. Have we already re-signed? I can't. Do you know what? I can't remember now. I think isn't this his 4th year? I'm pretty sure he was on IR and you re-signed him to a new contract. Yeah, we may have done. Let's have a little look. It was. I know that this is his 4th year, and that he's going to have to. But yeah, it's quite possible that we have. I can't remember. He's only the player on the team I support. I can't remember everything. Christian Watson signed a 1-year, $13.25 million contract extension with Green Bay Packers on September 2025. So what does that keep him through till 2026 then? Yeah. So it kind of is a contract year, sort of. Wow. Not really. An extension. Yeah, for a 1-year deal. So yeah, it's he has been impressive, and it's funny because I must admit I've always been one where I've been a little bit like we just can't keep him because he just gets injured all the time. What's the point? But when you can get him out there, he is very, very good. Yeah, gotta make you think that maybe you should have gone some. I know it was in Green Bay when you picked him, so maybe that's why you picked Golden and you went for the wide receiver. But it seems like you could have gone for a different position. He's not really made an impact. We weren't a fan of him on the podcast, were we? Well, you're talking to me who was coming out going, what the hell have they done? Sort of thing when it was picked. I mean, I was not a particularly big fan of that move at all. I didn't really understand it at all. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of almost felt like they picked the wide receiver just so they could come out and say in Green Bay for the
Yeah.
first time, we've picked a wide receiver in the first round, sort of thing. And it just kind of felt like it wasn't necessary. Admittedly, I'm not. I mean, what I always said was an edge rusher, but then you went and traded for Mike Parsons, so obviously that doesn't matter.
Well, I think I wanted you to take I think I wanted you to take a cornerback, didn't I? I think the corner was.
Yeah, I mean that would have made sense because that is a problem, and something you might see in this game actually. If Bo Nix does hit Troy Franklin a couple of times, our corners are not great. I mean, they're all right, but then they're not sort of like top quality standard. You know, there's no Pat Satan on the Packers defense or a real top corner like that, like a Christian Gonzalez. You know, they're just not there. So I think they are missing a little bit there. So that's a bit of a concern as well.
Yeah. The last game I've gone for, it's not the first time I've picked them this year. It is, I know this is the later game. I have taken the -5.5 on the Dallas Cowboys at home against the Minnesota Vikings because I just don't trust the Minnesota Vikings quarterback. No consistency with that guy. And Dallas has been good at stopping the run since they've made their changes. And I feel like Vikings are going to have to lean on their run game a lot to get anything going with McCarthy. And offensively, Cowboys have been good. They're at home. Defensively, they've been better. They put up a lot of points. I don't feel like the Vikings score loads of points with McCarthy. So I'm going to take the -5.5. It's within a touchdown. And what are they? 2 games back off of the Eagles, apparently playing for nothing at the minute, but they're not far behind them. And I think cemented themselves as a favourite going into next year. It is a good track for them with the picks they've got in the draft. So I like them within a touchdown.
Yeah, I feel like there's a bit of positivity around the Cowboys at the moment, it's been quite a few years really since that's happened. So I think they've got a chance of coming up with a bit of things turning out in a good way for them in the end. I think it's going to take a year or two to get there to be properly, doing well. But for this game specifically, I think they're probably, and it's a bit weird to say this considering how poor their defense has been for the whole season. It's got a bit better since the trades that they made, but it's not been great. I actually feel like they're probably the more reliable team of the two, and especially when it comes to the offense. I just think that you've got. I know that Pickens has been quiet for the last couple of games, but I think that you've got Lamb and Pickens and Ferguson who've all been good. Javonte Williams has been great for them this year in the running game. And the O-line has held up quite well. So I think that you've got some really good pieces there who are going to be able to score points against this Vikings defense. As you say, it's very, very difficult to trust JJ McCarthy with anything he does. I mean, last week you could argue, okay, he had a good performance. They put 31 points up and looked all right. But they weren't really playing anyone that was that great. And, it was only the week before that they scored 0 points. So it's really, really tough to kind of be on the side of that. As you say, it's within a touchdown. It's in Dallas. I think they probably don't have anything to play for in reality. But as you say, they're not that far off. And so maybe
they're 2 games back. They've got Minnesota to play, win. Commanders to play, win. Giants to play, maybe a win. And then they've got the Chargers, which I think that's a loss. So they win 3 of their remaining 4. And you need, what would you need? The Eagles to lose
You need the Eagles to lose. I mean, would you need them to lose all four? Because the Eagles beat the Cowboys, didn't they?
No, it's 1-1, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
They've already played each other twice. It's 1-1.
Okay.
The Cowboys have beat the Giants and Commanders already. So divisionally, I think you need the Eagles to lose 3. I think because they're 2 behind them. So that if they lost 2, they'd catch them up. But then you'd need, if we're saying they go 3-1 to end the season.
I mean, the Eagles are at home to the Raiders this week, so that's 1 win. I think this is the problem. I think it's unlikely, to be honest, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, but I think they can create a narrative and actually put themselves in a good position going into next year. And then also with that draft capital, if they use that draft capital correctly, which, you know, arguably over the years you could say they haven't, but if they use it correctly, then that might help them even more. And just generally, like next year, they might be more of a problem for this Eagles team. So it's like, I think that's what you're looking at. But yeah, specifically for this game, I think they're the more reliable. Happy to take them below a field goal at 5.5.
There were, as always, you would like to remove the Packers from any bet that I put them in. So let's take the Packers out. What did I miss?
So the one that I quite like the look of, and I kind of gave it away really at the beginning of the show. I like the Panthers to win this game. They're going away to the New Orleans Saints, and at -2.5, it's within the field goal. I think their defense is very strong. And I think that you're seeing with Bryce Young and most importantly with the run game, actually, because the Saints are not very good against the run. They are, if I can find it somewhere, Saints 23rd in the league when it comes to giving up rushing yards, but they're pretty decent against the pass. Obviously, Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard are the Panthers' running back duo, and I think that, you know, that it kind of favours them a little bit in that matchup. They only managed to score 7 points against the Saints last time earlier in the season. I think that they are going to want to make a bit of a statement about that and going to want revenge. And not only does it mean that if they win, they get their revenge on the Saints, it will also mean they will be top of the division, and it has now opened up for them to really kick on here and do something. So I think motivation is going to be very high. The Saints, obviously, in the same way that as the Falcons, motivation will be to stop your divisional rival. And I know that we did see a little bit from them last week, but I'm still not overly impressed with Tyler Shook, I have to say. I think he's kind of, what he's doing is he's kind of using his legs to get out of trouble because he doesn't have the ability to do it sort of the old-fashioned way, I suppose, is what it is. And so it kind of feels a little bit like there's not a large amount there. I do think the Saints' defense is still decent. They're very good against the pass, but you can run on them. And so, yeah, I think it kind of all sort of points towards the Panthers. It's under the field goal. So I'd rather be having them than doing anything with my own team.
Yeah, I like that Panthers bet. Probably should have put it in. I do really, really like it. What's your rack avoid this week?
My rack avoid is the Baltimore Ravens, who are -2.5 going away to the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I mean, I don't think any of us can really come out and say we've been impressed with anything that the Ravens have done this season, to be honest. They've been pretty poor at the beginning, largely due to injuries. They went on a little run. But if you actually look at it, they didn't really play anyone that great during that run. And, you know, they've sort of struggled in the last couple of weeks. Lamar's been sort of a bit in and out because of injuries, and just form in general doesn't look great. they're not running Derrick Henry anywhere near enough, which is just bizarre when you think of who he is and the history of him. It's very strange. And they've just been beaten by a Pittsburgh Steelers team last week who are not anything special either.
Well, it was just Rodgers and Metcalf that beat them.
Pretty much, yeah. It was, and the run game, Warren and Gainwell on the run actually did reasonably okay. And yeah, it just kind of feels a little bit like the Ravens defense, which was kind of it was sort of their MO, wasn't it? That was the thing that's really sort of like that, this really strong defense, which kind of got them 3 games. And then you had that special talent in Lamar being able to find any receiver or the run game through Derrick Henry. It kind of feels like it's all just kind of flattened this year and it's all fallen back a bit. So yeah, I'm not particularly keen on the Ravens at the moment. And then the Bengals just look like a different team with Joe Burrow in there. And weirdly, on the defense, that's the thing that's so strange. He's not even on the defense. And yet him being there seems to have made an impact. So yeah, I think that helps a lot. They're always going to be in games. The over-under's 51.5. I think it probably will go over because since Burrow's been back, he's had 32 points and then 34 the Bengals have had. I can see that again. I see them doing that again. In which case, do I really see the Ravens going out and scoring like 36 points in this game? They can do that. They have the ability to do it. But so far
only
this
when everyone's
season,
100%. And 80% Lamar Jackson just isn't getting it done.
I just haven't seen it this season, and I don't think I'm going to see it again. So for that reason, I'd avoid them. And I think that the Bengals will be all right at home. I know there's been a bit of unrest with some comments that Joe Burrow has said. I know that T. Higgins is out, but I don't think it matters. I think that he will still get the job done.
You buying into any of the rumors that Joe Burrow will be traded next year?
No. Are you?
No. If the Bengals traded it, even if he came out in the offseason and went, I request the trade. If the Bengals went, all right, okay, I would be like, yeah, that's it. Just ban them from being a franchise because that would just be stupid. Even if they got 4 firsts and players, I saw earlier today that Jefferson wants him at the Vikings and they should give them first.
I'm sure Jefferson does.
JJ McCarthy, Dallas Turner, George Mason. I was like, no, surely he's arguably behind Josh Allen for the best quarterback in the league.
I was going to say, what team wouldn't take him over their quarterback?
Chiefs, Bills.
I mean, obviously, all the teams are going to come out and go,
the Patriots.
We don't need him. We've got our guy. Or like any team that's got a franchise squad, like Green Bay, will come out and go, no, it's fine. We've got our guy. They're all going to say that who have got sort of like franchise quarterbacks. But in reality, if you were a Packers fan, would you take Joe Burrow over Jordan Love? Of course you would.
I'll tell you now, if Joe Burrow went, I request a trade, and the Bengals went, we'll answer calls, Sean McVay would be on his phone and give him all of his first.
Yeah.
And Burrow would be on the Rams, and that would be insane to think. They go, sorry, Stafford, you're retiring now. We've got Joe Burrow.
And also, if you really want to keep the narrative going, they got the picks to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's not. It won't happen. They won't trade him. I think it will go one of 2 ways. I think what will happen is it will just carry on. And this is almost a message, which is basically code for sort the bloody O-line out.
Mm-hmm.
Or we've got another Andrew Luck situation coming.
We'll just retire. That is on the card as well. It's
Yeah.
retire or trade. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some trebles then. Adam, what have you got for us?
Right. Firstly, I gotta say, I didn't like anything.
Oh, I like loads.
Yeah, well, you're a funny bug. But I was really struggling with it. Now I've got an early one that is much bigger and a later one which is loads smaller. Really didn't like the late games. It was so weird. We've been moaning all season that there's only been 3 games to pick from. Get 5, and I still didn't like any of them. Anyway, so for the early games, I've gone for Dalton Kincaid for the Buffalo Bills at 13-5, going up against Patriots defense. Patriots defense has been good. I just feel like they haven't really played anyone that great. But I feel like if the Bills are going to get anywhere, it feels like Kincaid is the number 1 pass catching option now. So I feel like it's James Cook or Kincaid. So I've gone for Kincaid at 13-5. I've then gone for Brock Bowers at 23-10. Now, also I got all these prices on Paddy Power, so they might be different on Bet365. But I can't get over Brock Bowers being a price of 23-10.
Well, because Pete Carroll has no clue how to use his receivers.
Well, you say that, but the thing that has sort of happened since Brock Bowers has come back is that he does seem to be getting touchdowns. So he might not be getting used quite a lot, but in the last 2 games, he's had 3 touchdowns. He had 3 touchdowns in 1 game not that long ago. And he's going up against this Eagles defense, which is just not as good as what it was. It does seem to be able to, you can score on them. I don't think that Bowers is going to have an amazing game, but at 23-10, I just think it's a huge price for this guy who is just, like I say, the last 2 weeks he's scored a touchdown. So I'm not against it at all, and at that price I quite like it. And then my final one, I had 2 that I nearly went for. The guy, I'll tell you first, the one who I didn't put in, and the reason I didn't put him in was because I wasn't 100% sure whether T. Higgins was going to miss or not. But they're the same price. So if you don't like my one, put this guy in, I'd say. Mike Gesicki, I think for the Bengals, I think is a very good price at 15-8. But the one I went for was Wan'Dale Robinson at 15-8 for the Giants. Now, Robinson, we've seen, haven't we? Main pass catching option. I know a lot of it was under Jameis Winston, but even under Dart, he's been involved quite a lot. I do feel that the Giants have to be saying to Dart, can you please stop trying to get concussions? So I do think, especially against this Commanders defense, that you can pass on them. And so I think you might see a little bit more of a more traditional performance from Dart in this game. When I look at the receivers, I'm a little bit like, where's it going to go? Wan'Dale Robinson or Darius Slayton, probably.
Theo Johnson.
Yeah. I mean, he's around as well, but like, I
red zone
like,
target, isn't he? Big guy. Wan'Dale's a bit
I
small.
like Wan'Dale Robinson to get a touchdown here. So Kincaid 13-5, Bowers 23-10, and then either Gesicki or Wan'Dale Robinson at 15-8, 33.15-1.
Yeah, mine's fairly big for the early fixtures. I have gone for Ramondre Stevenson, 5-2 against the Bills. Since he's now been back fully fit, the split was slightly in favor of Henderson, but it was only just by, I think, a couple of snaps. I think Ramondre was out there maybe for carries. I think Ramondre might have been out there for more snaps. He's the bigger back, and I think they trust him a bit more to run into the line. So I think when you get down to that end zone, it's going to be Ramondre that probably gets those carries. So at 5-2, I feel like that's, I don't know, against a Bills team that can't defend the run. Snap your hand off. I have gone a slightly opposite direction to you. I feel like Jackson Dart will feel like he is young and it doesn't matter, and he can take on the world, and he is getting in for a touchdown because that's just what he does. And he's 33-20. So I think Jackson Dart has got a good chance to score. And even if it's a quarterback sneak, he's the bigger guy, and in terms of who we've got behind him. If it's Tracy, I know Singletary might be in there as well. I might actually bring up the odds for the Giants players because might be an interesting one to look at. And then finally, there's a tight end for me that I think is playing really, really well at the minute. There's a lot of people that were out on him early in the year, but I think he's been great this back end of the season. I've got taken Colston Loveland at 12-5. I feel like he's been really good lately, and that comes in at 30.5-1.
Right. Did you say 12-5?
Yeah.
Okay, he's bigger at Paddy Power. Not by a lot, only a little bit, but yeah, he's bigger at Paddy Power. I had him written down. I tipped him up last week when he's against the Packers, and that came in at 9-2, I think it was on one side. Yeah, he's definitely one to look at, Colston Loveland. I think he will have a good end to the season. So yeah, I like the Colston Loveland one. Dart, yeah, I mean, yeah, you could be right. He probably will. He'll probably do something stupid and go and do that. And the Ramondre Stevenson one, I just hate on principle. Because basically it's disgusting, and Travion Henderson is the better back, and Mike Vrabel needs to sort himself out. And it doesn't matter that I've got it doesn't matter that I've got Henderson on my fantasy team. It is an outrage, and Vrabel needs to sort himself out, right?
Let Ramondre run into the wall and let Henderson do explosive plays on the outside. So
no. Just give the ball to Henderson. You saw with Henderson when Stevenson was out. Also, can they not have similar names? It is frustrating that they all end with a son. But it's just like, it's wrong. You're upsetting my fantasy team. I don't like it.
We did say we'd have a quick look at the Giants odds. Theo Johnson 21-10, so just very similar to Wan'Dale Robinson, and then Singletary probably not even worth putting money on. What's your late treble then? Because I quite like mine.
Right, my late treble. I don't like 2 out of the 3 guys that I've picked. That's how bad the late games were, as far as I'm concerned.
Surely you've got the same name on your list that I have. And
I would be stunned if we haven't got one name that's the same, because that was the only one. Well, I don't know, but that was the only one I'm guessing that I actually liked. Sorry,
you got it at 2-1.
Yeah. So that was the only one that I liked at the price of any touchdown scorer in any of these 5 games. So for the late games, I've gone for Amon-Ra St. Brown at 11-10 against the Rams. I think he's got a chance of getting in. I don't really like it because I like the Rams defense, but he was the only one in that game that I kind of felt like was above evens that I kind of liked. So I went for Amon-Ra. Christian Watson, I'm guessing, is the one that you like at 2-1 for the Packers. As we were saying, I think that he has kind of become the deep threat and pretty much the offense, to be honest, because Josh Jacobs has struggled a little bit as well with injuries. So I feel like Watson's getting involved a lot. And then finally, the only reason I've gone for this is because he's going up against one of the worst defenses in the league, and that is George Kittle at 5-4. Against the Tennessee Titans, who are pretty poor. And so 11-10 at Amon-Ra, 2-1 Christian Watson, 5-4 George Kittle, 13.18-1, and I don't like 2 out of the 3 selections.
Mental. Obviously, I've got Christian Watson because at 2-1, a guy that's had 5 touchdowns in 4 weeks. Why would you not want a 2-1 bet?
Yeah, I am stunned that he's still 2-1. Actually.
Yeah, and in 2 of those games, he scored 2 touchdowns as well. So the ball is definitely going his way. You said you really like the Panthers. I'm surprised you haven't gone down the Panthers route.
What, Dowdle?
No, I've gone Chuba Hubbard. They have moved away from Dowdle and they've moved into Hubbard. Hubbard is their guy for the future. Dowdle, I don't think will be there next year. I think someone else is going to take him. And I think they like to use Hubbard, and they're going to work him now. He's back to fitness more and more in over Dowdle, and he's 23-10. They could equally both get in against this Saints team. So I'm going to take the bigger odds and take Hubbard.
I agree with you. I wrote Dowdle down and I agree with you with the fact that it is turning to Hubbard. But I just don't know which one's going to score.
Well, I've told you, it's Hubbard. I think he's got a great chance. And then finally, I was on the same impression as you that the Titans will give it up to anyone. And it seems to me like Juwan Jennings has been the guy to go for the touchdowns. He's had, there you can see it just there, he's had 4 in the last 5 games, 1 in each of those 4 games. So I just feel like that is a good bet at 19-10. I do think that he's been out for a long time and he just got back and he could be Pearsall's week. So if you want it with Jennings in it, who seems to be the go-to touchdown scorer over McCaffrey, apart from McCaffrey, sorry, then it's 27.71 to 1. So you've got some big odds there. And if you put Pearsall in it, it's 32.66 to 1. So I think they're both got a chance. I think Hubbard, Watson, and Jennings has got a great chance.
Yeah, I think so. Look, I like Watson, obviously, and I think that I get what you're saying. I suppose what I was looking at was the pricing of these guys, and you've basically what's happened is I've gone for the more sort of what feels like the more certain guys at the smaller odds, whereas for you've gone for the theory of will they have a chance, so therefore they're worth putting in. I agree with you. I mean, Juwan Jennings, as you say, he's had 4 out of 5 and he could score. I just think when I look at it, I go, McCaffrey obviously is the main guy there. Kittle, I think, is the main pass catching option. And then you kind of go, well, it could go to Jennings, it could go to Pearsall. Like you say, it could be Pearsall's game. But the problem is the fact that you're even having that conversation means that you don't have a lot of hope. You know, it's almost like that thing where it's like that you're talking about the third option of a team.
I think based on what we're looking at on the paper there, that Kittle hasn't had any in the last 2 games and Jennings has had 1 in each of those games.
Yeah, and you could argue that it's sort of going that way, but I just feel like Purdy always goes to McCaffrey and Kittle first.
Yeah, well,
he just always has done. And who was the other one?
Look,
Hubbard.
They're playing the Titans. All 4
don't get me wrong. Literally, I would not be shocked if McCaffrey, Kittle, Jennings, and Pearsall all scored.
Do you know what I undernard for this one? I undernard. Will the 49ers be that far ahead that they go, do you know what? Let's not risk McCaffrey and let's play Brian Robinson more. And then because Brian Robinson's 21-10. And I generally thought if they're up in the 4th quarter by quite a bit, why risk McCaffrey, play Robinson? So I did putting Robinson in that bet because I do think they're going to be well in front.
I don't know if they will be that far in front. The Titans have shown a little bit, haven't they, in the last few weeks? Nothing special, but like they have got some points on the board. So yeah, I think it'll be tough for them. But I mean, as I say, I could see any of them scoring. I feel like I just looked at it and I just sort of went that to me, Jennings isn't a big enough price for me.
Okay, fair.
That's kind of the logic where it's almost like you're talking about the third option of a team and you're not even giving me 2-1 for it. Yet you're getting 2-1 for Christian Watson, who's we're saying is basically the number 1 pass catching option now.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe I've got a bit mathematical on it. I apologise.
Well, we'll see.
I was just looking at it and I was just going, this is rubbish. There's no one here. And it's like, there's no one.
I'll send you some more over the weekend because there was plenty more that I liked. Well, that's all we've got time for, Adam. We are at the nitty-gritty of the season, so all the games should be great to watch. I think Red Zone's going to be really, really good to watch this weekend. Some good matchups. Should be some high-scoring games. The spreads are quite high this week, so best of luck if your team's playing. Well, everyone's playing. The bye weeks are done. So best of luck. Best of luck in your fantasy if you've started your playoffs. We will see you again next week. So keep it with the franchise tag and see you again.